Chapter 1. What is target archery? If you're even thinking about trying out archery, then there are a number of different things that you should definitely know before you start. The first of those is just what target archery actually is. If you've ever talked to someone about archery before, you may have not even referred to it as target archery. In fact, most people who practice target archery will call it simply archery. But what does that mean? Is it something different from other types of archery? Well, we're going to get into that right now. We're going to look at a number of different things that are often confused with target archery and just what they mean for you. You'll be able to find out more about different types of archery, or at least what you can do with a bow and arrows, when we get through the rest of the first chapter. So, let's take a look at what target archery isn't, namely hunting, competition, and field archery. Once you know the differences, you'll be able to make a more informed choice about which option is the best style for you. Target archery is not hunting. The first thing that most people think of when they think of shooting a bow and arrow is what our ancestors did. They think of going out into the woods or a field and coming back with their family meal. Whether they hunt for deer, turkey, or anything else, they associate archery with hunting and assume that if you're going to get involved with one, you have to be involved in the other. That's actually not the case at all, because target archery and hunting are very different. Sure, a lot of people who enjoy target archery also like to hunt, but not everyone does. Not all target archers go hunting, and not all hunters shoot target archery. It's actually two totally different things, and yet many people get them completely confused. So let's look at what hunting really means. If you're going out hunting, it means you're intending to kill some type of animal with your bow and arrow. There are specific seasons where you can hunt different animals in different areas, and you generally need a powerful bow. Though that doesn't mean it needs a lot of accessories, it just means it has enough power behind it to kill. Hunting is generally a solo activity. Sure, you can go up with a group of friends or family, but you're normally going to sit in your blind, the specific spot you hunt from, alone, and stay quiet for the entire time that you're out there. When you come back to the rest of your group, you may have fun and enjoy a lot of the different aspects of camping and spending time together, and then go back out to your blind again later. But if you're the type of person that gets squeamish even thinking about killing an animal, then hunting is not for you. But don't worry about it. There are a lot of people who have no interest in hunting for one reason or another. For those who do go out, it's a time to have fun with friends and a way to possibly bring home food for the family for free. Or rather, for the cost of your hunting license and the cost of processing, unless you do it yourself. Our ancestors used to hunt for all their own meat, but that's not necessary for all of us to do anymore. If you think you have to hunt just because you've got a bow, however, that's not the case at all. Target archery is not competition, necessarily. Next, those people who do know the difference between target archery and hunting generally think that target archery has to do with competition. If you shoot a bow and arrow and it's not for hunting, then it's a sport, and that means you have to compete against other people. But that's not the case either. Sure, there are a lot of people who love to shoot target archery in competitions, and we'll talk about some of that later. But you're not required to get involved with the competitive aspect of it if you're interested in target archery. You can simply enjoy participating in the sport. Yes, it's still a sport even if there's no competitive aspect, without that level of intensity. Competitive archers do engage in target archery too, unless they compete in field archery, which we'll talk about next. They have to, in order to get some practice in. If they only competed and didn't do target archery, they wouldn't get very far in the competition circuit because they wouldn't be practicing and learning more. But on the other side of that coin, target archers do not need to get involved in competition. You could decide that you want nothing to do with competing. You may decide to engage in friendly competitions with your friends or family, or you may decide to participate in organized competitions once in a while. Any of those options is entirely up to you, and still in line with what target archery is. Competition means that you'll generally go to a specified facility at a specified time and shoot at specified targets. We'll talk about different targets later too. For example, you might be shooting at animal targets or standard targets, or what we call 3 spots. You'll shoot at different distances that are predetermined based on the competition rules and your own class. Once everyone is done shooting, there are usually several rounds, the points will all be tallied and someone will be declared a winner. Of course, you know how competitions work, right? Generally, there will be a few people invited onto the next stage of competition, and on and on. There are local types of competition and a whole lot more, but we'll get into that later. If you want to get involved in these, once you get out there and practice a bit, then great. There are plenty of places you can find more information about competitions and how they work. You'll likely be able to find several that fit your capabilities or interests in your area, or at least close enough you'd be willing to drive there. If you don't want to do that though, or if you're not sure but want to think about it later, then that's no problem either. Competitions can be a lot of fun for those who don't put too much pressure on themselves, or those who are really good at archery. If you get to a point someday where you're really good, you may want to start looking at competitions. On the other hand, if you're the type of person that just likes to get out there and have some fun, and doesn't care about winning and losing, you may have fun with the process as well. Others may not want to even get involved, because competitions can be, well, competitive. People who engage in them tend to be very focused, and they can be very determined to win. Some people might get too engaged and get very upset if they don't win. These are the types of people who should only really get involved in competitive aspects of archery if they're really good. And keep in mind that there are a lot of really good archers out there. Those who just want to have fun can get involved if they want the new experience, but they can also just hang up their hat at the local club and call that good enough. Target archery is not field archery. Finally, we get to field archery. This is probably the one that gets confused the most, because a lot of people don't think of there being different types of archery once you get rid of the hunting and competition aspect. The difference between target archery and field archery is simply where you're shooting, because all of the mechanics are the same, though the mechanics stay the same for any type of shooting when it comes to bow and arrows. Field archery involves a course, rather than just a single target. What you do is you go outside. Yes, most courses are outside for this type of archery, and you follow a specific trail through the woods or through a field. As you get to certain spots, you'll find targets that you shoot at from specified distances. In many ways, it's similar to what you would do if you went golfing. You have different targets instead of holes, and you only get one shot, but you keep going around until you've made it to each one. This type of archery doesn't need to be competitive, and it can be just for fun, like with target archery. It can also be engaged in alongside other types of archery, but they're not specifically the same thing. You don't have to engage in one in order to engage in the other, though target archery may help you be a little bit better when it comes to your field archery capabilities. Another aspect of field archery that's a little different, and not exactly field archery but one of the fun parts, is called a 3D shoot. These take place outdoors, generally, and involve 3-dimensional targets that are usually shaped like animals. You go to a club for these during the summer months, and you follow a set path that takes you through a field or woods. As you go through the course, you'll find the targets to shoot. It can be a lot of fun for you and your friends or family to try out, and it definitely makes for something a little bit different and unique. For those who really want to just get out and have some fun, this is a great way to do it. It's also not a lot of pressure, and though you can keep score, there are certain kill zones on each target that give you more points. You can also just do it for fun, without keeping score. These types of shoots can be great for older and younger archers alike, and they can be a great way to meet new people as well. That's because not every club has 3D shoots, and even the ones who do usually don't have them on the same weekends, which means that people from all different clubs will attend. You'll be able to engage in some even more friendly competition that way. Of course, there are actually competitions that use 3D style targets indoors or outdoors, so you can participate in those as well if you like. They'll be a little more structured and may have rules when it comes to things like where you need to shoot from. Fun 3D shoots don't care, and how many arrows you're allowed to shoot. They may also require you to follow other rules that a shoot for fun doesn't. Field archery and target archery are the two types that are the most similar in many ways, but they don't need to go hand in hand. It's going to be up to you if you decide to practice target archery on its own, or if you want to look at other types of archery, or even field archery as an alternative. So, if target archery is not hunting, and it's not field archery, and it doesn't have to be competition, then what is it? Well, target archery is where you go out, it can be done indoors or outdoors, and you shoot your bow at a target. You don't need anything more or less formal than that. You could stand in your own backyard with a single archery target, provided it's allowed in your area, and that would be target archery. You can also go to clubs or formal archery areas and shoot at targets there. The only requirements are that you have a bow and arrow, and that you have at least one target. Even if you only shoot one arrow a single time, that's considered target archery. Of course, we'd recommend you shoot a whole lot more arrows than that, because you're going to find that target archery is actually a lot of fun. With target archery, you're going to have a whole lot of different ways to participate, and as you look for different places you can join in to shoot archery, you're going to have even more opportunities. You'll be able to find tons of people that will be interested in shooting with you, and you'll definitely be able to improve on your own as well. Learning more about target archery will take you some time and some effort, but you're definitely going to enjoy it once you do. Frequently asked questions. What kind of archery should I get involved in? If you're looking at just getting started with archery, then target archery is the best place for you to start. You'll be able to learn all of the basics and get started understanding archery itself, including the tools of the trade. You'll definitely gain the experience you need and then be able to jump into competitions or field archery with a much stronger background. Can I get started with more than one type of archery? Sure, why not? You may start out with target archery and then decide to try hunting or field archery or competitions. Target archery can help you get some practice for those other types and can be a lot of fun as an additional hobby. It's also a great way to enjoy the sport during the off-seasons, like summer for hunters and winter for field archers. How do I get started hunting? To get started with hunting, you'll need to talk with the same people that you got your bow from the first time. Find out if the bow you have is going to be good for hunting, and keep in mind that you may want to look at multiple options. Those who get really involved in target archery and hunting tend to purchase two bows, one for each type of archery, so they have bows that are specialized for the task at hand. If you want to get started, then finding out the general rules and what you need for specialized equipment is the first step. Then you'll need to find public land, or land that you can get permission to hunt on, and you'll need to get a license for that area. Once you have all of those things, and you're in the right season, you'll be able to head out and see what you can get.